You are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business. Tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. If I had $1 for every time someone came into my space at an event, through a conversation and said, I'm part of the problem of why I don't have the business I want and doesn't solve it, I would be minting it. So my friends, if this is you and you know you're the bottleneck, it is time to fix it. And that's what we're tackling today. Today on Amplify Your Marketing Message, I want to talk about the 5 business bottlenecks that must be solved in order to get off the crazy train that you have created. It is up to you. You are the spark, the business owner, and the person in charge of solving this. And so every day you have awareness that you're part of the problem and you do not solve it, you should give yourself your head a shake, and possibly you should fire your butt, truthfully, and hire me. I want to tell you these are the 5 bottlenecks that I know I experience, and I have support to solve them. And I'm going to help you identify them today and start solving them with a clear roadmap to getting off the crazy train and to getting off this cycle of peaks and valleys of every other day wanting to blow up your business because it isn't where you want it to be, and to get it where you want it to be. The first problem is a marketing problem, and that is that you do not have enough leads or that they're arriving at the wrong time. So quality and quantity can both be contributing factors. I will tell you this, straight shooting, your business will be built on strangers, which means leads is a key problem. You must always have the muscle, know-how, and discipline to solve, because without somebody to talk to, you have no one to sell to. And truthfully, leads is a solvable problem, and it's solved by marketing. If your marketing, 1, is non-existent, or 2, is not producing volume, quality, and timeliness, it is fundamentally broken. And you will always have this pattern unless you change it. So this is the first bottleneck. Every month, even for a business that wants to be serving 3 to 30 people at any given time, you need at least 1,000 leads, because truthfully, not all leads are ready to buy today, and not all leads will want what you have to offer, and you must be able to move them from curious to paid client. So bottleneck number 1, hands up, ownership time. Do you have a leads problem in your business? If so, and you're paying attention, I want you to email me this phrase: how do I get involved, Christine, in the 30-day lead sprint? And I'll respond with a very quick roadmap so you don't have to guess. I'll walk you through for 30 days how to find more leads and better quality leads. The second big problem that business owners have is conversion. What does that mean in simple layman's term? They suck at sales. And that is such an important problem to solve. Selling is not optional. It is the lifeblood of your business. And truthfully, we can always get better at sales. I myself in my business invest in 3 sales courses a year, and I have been selling for 30 years and have made $1 billion. So if you've never taken a sales course and you have never truthfully had somebody listen into a sales call to help provide feedback, you are totally winging it. And it's time to stop. Because here's the simple truth. Interest doesn't equal revenue. Somebody is a lead, they put up their hand and say, I have a known problem and I'm curious about your solution. That doesn't mean you got paid and have a client. It's a journey. It's a continuum. And that is why in our 6-month group program, we have a 30-day sales sprint. And yes, you can, if you're really lucky, get into it without doing the full 6-month program. It will help you sell better, but selling is a muscle. And your number one commitment to yourself is that every day you must make an offer. And you must build the skills of making an offer and losing your ego about what it means when somebody says yes or somebody says no, because that is irrelevant. Our job when we're selling is to know this truth. My job is not to judge whether you can afford me. My job is not to judge if you say yes. My job is to be present, to invite, and to have confidence I know where I'm going and give you the choice to say yes or no and decide when. I have 100% certainty I will be in business in 6 months. So if you don't say yes to the offer today, 6 months from now, you might circle around and I will still be here making you another offer. But I will tell you this with pretty high degree certainty, it will not be the same offer and it will not be the same price because capacity becomes limited. And as capacity becomes limited, pricing and access gets smaller and more expensive. So if you don't know how to sell and you suck at sales and avoid sales at all costs and think the answer is outsourcing it when you don't have sales already, wake up. You're the bottleneck. Selling and outsourcing sales can be highly effective when you know how to move interest to revenue, not before, not as a sidestep, and not as a backdoor. It will only bleed you money, and chances are to bleed you money for 3 to 6 months minimum. That sunk cost you've just spent, was better served being in our 6-month group program and taking advantage of the support, training, and sales sprint that is included so you get feedback and solve the bottleneck. The third bottleneck that happens is that sales are inconsistent because they are founder dependent. What does that mean? You only sell when you want to sell, and that is not every day. If you are the only engine in your business, if you're a freelancer, solopreneur, or business owner, sales is your number one responsibility. But if you're the only one doing it, and it requires high contact with you because you're selling a high-ticket product or service, you are giving yourself a roller coaster. And I had this conversation just today with a business owner that says, I want to drop my business development activity from 40% of my time to 20%. I only want to talk to people on occasion. And guess what? Unless she has the systems, structure, and clarity in place, that will mean swings of client growth, some seasons of feast and some seasons of famine. And I said, if you want to do a drop down from 40% to 20%, 100% doable. You need to be in the 6-month group program. So we have the foundations in place so that you can drop that 20%. And as the engine fires, you can start outsourcing some sales and adding some people into the mix because you know how to serve the capacity. But if you're the only person does it and you're waiting for motivation to sell, your sales will always be inconsistent. The number one thing clients say to me in the first 90 days of working with me is I've made more offers more consistently. And as a result, I have a lot more confidence in my business. If you want that to be you, it's probably worth a conversation about our programming. Number 4 is that you have not invested time in the onboarding process. You've only thought about what will it take to market and wig out over a sales conversation, and you've not taken the through line to the next piece of the puzzle, which is onboarding. And I will tell you this stat. It's shocking. Be prepared. Up to 30% of your yeses, people that have said yes, will unravel, stall, and cease to become a firm opportunity in the onboarding. What does that mean? Simply put, chargebacks. People saying, yeah, but no, I'm backing away. And people starting to doubt. The moment after decision is made becomes the riskiest place to lose a client, not in the romancing and proposal stage of nurture and client offer. It's the moment after they've said yes. It's called buyer's remorse. You've probably heard that term. You have to think about what happens in the transition timeline between the yes and the first date of a signed client. We are really clear on how to orchestrate that in our business. We have touch points, we have clarity, we have communication. And as a result, nobody gets lost. And even if there are moments of uncertainty, we can re-engage them quickly into why this investment, whatever it was, our group program, our sprints, or the one-to-one mentorship program, they are sure they made a good bet because they know that they are better with us than on their own. So ask yourself this question. Are you a bottleneck when it comes to your onboarding? Are you systematized and holding a high standard and still having access and high contact? It doesn't have to be fully led by the founder, but it should be something you have absolute responsibility for because you want their first impression to be carried forward every step of the way. Which leads us to the fifth bottleneck and the big problem that I see with business owners of why you're making it so much harder than it really needs to be. And that is fulfillment. Poor delivery, missed expectations, and not caring for the investment value that a buyer has put into your business revenue, pocket, and bottom line kills your repeat business. It kills referrals. And the longer your programs, the more important it is that you stay engaged as it relates to fulfillment, because there will be times when people are all in the honeymoon phase and it doesn't matter what you do, they will buy it. They love it. They need to be validated that they made a good decision. But after the honeymoon wears off, you must ensure and check in regularly. Am I meeting expectations? Let's review what expectations should be. And let's provide an open loop of communication because you and your client are in partnership of creating the result. It's not any single person's responsibility. It is the pair's responsibility to create the movement. And if you don't stay holding your standard, addressing any shortfalls, you will kill referrals. And do not for 1 nanosecond think that referrals happen automatically. People might talk about you automatically. Chances are they are. But that doesn't mean a referral. A referral is a very orchestrated conversation. You need to say and equip your client because they're having a great raving fan experience, even in adverse moments when there's friction or results are not as fast or as smooth as predicted, that they are still taking action to make a personal introduction to somebody who needs the result you stand for. And that's why in our business, we really think about and get vulnerable with our clients and ask this question: how are we doing? What do you love about us? What do you not love about us? Where do you wish we had communicated that we're not? And how are you perceiving the client experience from the various people that you engage with in our programs, in our services, and in our day-to-day communication? And we check this at least quarterly, formally quarterly. And we've just completed a quarter, so we've given the feedback out to every current client. How are we doing? What are you winning at? What's become possible now? What did you seek to solve? How's that going? And in my day-to-day client conversations, I'm regularly asking, how am I doing? Do you feel every time the payment is due that you're making good ROI decisions? Because you never want to be in a place, and silence is the biggest killer here, that you start to think this isn't worth it. And I know because I have been in year-long contracts, multi-year contracts, in fact, where I've fallen out of love with the person because after the first romance, we stopped talking about what was expected of each other. We stopped communicating unless we were in a set call, and it deteriorated to the point where I was not interested in renewal. I was not interested in a conversation where I truly felt like I was a number in their paycheck and nothing more. So you have to build the fulfillment. You have to build the onboarding process. You have to build sales support that isn't dependent on you. You have to build conversion so that you can move somebody from curious to paid client, because interest, as I said earlier, does not equal revenue. And it is up to you to constantly have a high flow of quality leads. And chances are you're listening to this and going, wow, this has been super uncomfortable because I am the bottleneck. You are. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Guys, if you've been listening here to Amplify Your Marketing Message, you know that I am not going to sugarcoat it when it does not serve you. You are the bottleneck. And your willful avoidance is like an ostrich to your own future potential. Your head is in the sand and you're suffocating. All of these things are solved in business foundations. It's not your fault that you may not have had these skills the day you started. It is your fault if you are not solving for them. You're not equipping yourself with the knowledge. You're not equipping yourself with the accountability. And you're not equipping yourself with the know-how to connect the dots to build a business. We're not here for expensive hobbies. We're here for impact, revenue, and a beautifully predictable business. Solve the problem. We have 3 ways you can do this with us outside of this free podcast. You can come in our 6-month group program, which is all about leads, conversion, sales, and starting the foundations of client delivery. You can come in to work with us in a one-to-one mentorship program, which includes all of that, plus leadership of yourself, of your clients, hiring of team, and bringing in advocating partners for you, i.e. referrals that are paid advocates for you. And it also includes business math. We're going to help you set up CRMs. We're going to help you build the foundations of the systems that support your high level of service. So you're not wandering around guessing. You are not constantly sidetracked by, I didn't know to ask that, because you're going to leverage my 25 years of business experience and the $1 billion I've helped people create to show you what questions to ask. My legacy with you is client growth. Yes. 1000% yes. What's more important is I'm going to help you learn how to think, how to solve, and how to make decisions. Because I said this when we started, the reason you're running and spinning in circles is because you're the problem. You're the bottleneck. And let me tell you this in business, you are constantly solving problems. It's the name of the game. For every problem you solve, there will be a new one created. And guess what? It's your responsibility to solve that and keep moving. I had a funny story just this week chatting with a client, and she's been working with me 5 months. And I said to her when we started, right now you have a leads problem. Enough high quality leads coming to your business. And as a result, you have varied revenue. And it's scary because you have payroll. But I said, there will come a time when we start building this engine and you get clear on your offer and you learn to sell more effectively, we'll shorten the time between first contact and yes, and cash in the bank. And when we start to do that, leads will become less of a problem, delivery becomes a problem, and we have to solve on both ends of that spectrum. And I will help you do that. And she said to me just Wednesday, Christine, you know that day where I thought you were crazy, where you told me I wouldn't have a leads problem anymore? I said, yeah. She said, and that I would have so much business that's awesome that if I could just convert it, I would have capacity constraints. Yeah, I remember that. She said, I thought you were off your rocker. And to be fair, I did pay you to mentor me to get to this place. And guess what? I think I'm in it. And it's terrifying and exciting. And I am so anticipating what it'll be like for the second half of the year, for the next half of the year, because it's really happening. My friends, I want that to be your experience. And it can be. My invitation to you is very simple today. You have 5 business bottlenecks that are happening. You may have all 5 of them right now, and you may only have 1, 2, 3, 4. or all of them. But nothing is served by you listening to this podcast and just shutting it down and going on to the next episode. What is served is you reaching out. You have 2 ways to do that. ChristineCampbellRapin.com is the website. You'll find out about our programs there. Book a call and let's figure out which program will help you solve the bottleneck you have today. You can also email me, hello@ChristineCampbellRapin.com. Choose your adventure on how you want to communicate. Right now, I want you to solve it, and I'm inviting you to solve it with us because we know how to solve all 5 of these. And every day in our business, we coach, mentor, guide ourselves and our clients to solving them. And when you solve them and you build the muscles of knowing how to solve, how to think, how to make a decision, you stay out of overwhelm. It never exists. You don't let imposter syndrome run you rampant. You simply go, that's what's next. Let's do it. And that's what we provide. A clear roadmap to what comes next so you can just execute, learn from the experience, and create your own client growth engine. Business growth can be elegantly simple. This is how we start. So make that call. I look forward to chatting with you soon. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit ChristineCampbellRapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message.